Everybody, thanks for clicking on Storm Talk. This is Wave 3 News meteorologist Brian Good. We're going to cover here the storm chance for this afternoon and talk briefly about how the rest of the week is looking. Already been a busy day with flash flood warnings that we've had out. More than 3 inches of rain. Portions of southern Indiana, roads still underwater, even at this hour. Now, those storms are fading away, but we're already gearing up for what's coming our way next. They have already upgraded, as expected, the slight risk now for our western and southwest sections. Does not officially include Louisville. We're officially in the marginal risk here in the green, but areas south and west of us pretty much ahead of this mesoscale convective complex, or MCC, and sometimes you hear it as an MCS, mesoscale convective system. It has a lot of different names, but it's a small cluster of storms, almost its own area of low pressure in a way. It has a little bit of a warm front to it and a cold front, and you can kind of see that small little feature, and it'll track all together. All the storms go in one group to the south and to the east, so they're easy to track once they get going, but they can produce some high winds, and that's the reason why we're going to watch it. But for us, not just really the wind threat, but I think it's going to be the flooding threat. We're really going to watch for this as it moves south and east. But at least MCSs do move faster than other systems do, so that's at least in our favor. All right, now tomorrow we have a slight chance for a storm, better chance probably developing. I would say we got a small chance early in the day, and then again very early on Thursday morning. Most of Wednesday is looking very warm. We're going to have dry air above us, so the atmosphere is what we call capped. You can't really get thunderstorms to blow up in that type of atmosphere, so it's going to become very unstable, but there's not much really that I could see right now to break the cap or cause the trigger. So we have the potential to climb the mid-80s, and I'm debating on raising this to the mid-80s for tomorrow. We'll decide that the last minute here, but very warm for Wednesday. Thursday morning, maybe a few thunderstorms early in the day, but it's going to be late at night that we get in the action. I think overall this is going to be a late night event, guys. Probably after midnight, could be after 3 a.m. And the worst of it's going to be in the enhanced zone area across Illinois all the way down to St. Louis. We'll get the leftovers as it hits I-65. We've been through this I don't know how many times, so you all know how this works. They move in late at night, they lose their punch, but can still produce some gusty winds. But overall, everyone will be alert and ready just in case. For some high winds that could come through, but at least we will not get the worst out of this system, and that is good. All right, so let's cover back now to this afternoon. Those thunderstorms this morning that we're tracking across southern Indiana, and then now pushing off the east into Shelbyville, actually east of Shelbyville now, heading through Frankfort and Lexington. Nothing severe. No warnings came out for severe winds or hail. It was just mainly small hail and a lot of heavy rain, a lot of lightning, several lightning fires within the metro. We're clearing out, but notice how it's not taking much time here, and we're already starting to see the next round take shape. So we'll have to keep an eye on it. And here's the problem for flash flooding. Some areas here have already picked up. Let me pick up that little area of orange there, and it's saying about 3.5 inches of rain. Now, radar estimates has fallen there in southeast Orange County. You can see the path of the heaviest rain once across southern Indiana where the flood warnings were in effect. Another little batch of heavier rain across Shelbyville, into Frankfort, and then south into Louisville. You guys probably didn't get much at all, if even a drop. So this was mainly north of I-64 event for the afternoon. Okay, so here we go. The sun's coming back out, so you all know the drill. When you get the sun out, you add instability. You can already see the cumulus. See those little bumps there? Those are cumulus clouds already beginning to pop. So these storms will likely, or these clouds continue to develop, and we'll get some thunderstorms to develop out of those shortly, it looks like. Already reacting to that sunlight in the Wabash area. Further to the west is where the temperatures, again, have already risen now into the 70s because the sun coming out. We're already back to 70 here in Louisville. It's humid outside. The dew points are in the 60s, so there's a lot of moisture in the air. Now the warm fronts move through, so you can really tap into that and produce those very torrential downpours. So here's the MCS. This will be the warm front, if you will, that'll begin to connect, and this will be the cold front portion of it, and this will be the center of the low pressure, if you get to draw it on a weather map. So it's going to be this portion of it, though. Let me redraw this. This portion we got to watch for the damage and wind potential. Yes, you can get a brief spin-up tornado, by the way, in these scenarios, but this is not going to be the big story out of that. It's mainly going to be just the potential for heavy rain and large hail in some cases, but the strong gusty winds, got to watch that. Now, notice here, see this little outflow? You can already see it showing up on the satellite where a wind of gust is already blowing out from the storm. That may ignite some storms, too, near Cape Girardeau and near the Paducah area. We'll see what happens with that when it gets going. But we'll watch this as it evolves and tracks to the south and east. Now, MCSs, they love moisture and they love instability to feed on. The forecast instability from SPC is to climate above 1,000, which is fairly decent for our area. Let me change my wand so you can see what I'm drawing. Sorry about that. It's decent. You know, enough instability, certainly for these things to feed on. And then the instability begins to fade once you go east of 65 gradually. Shear. Producing those strong wind gusts. Decent shear right now located where it is in portions of Illinois later this afternoon. The best shear is right along the warm front itself. Southern Indiana right along I-64. And the shear isn't as impressive south of Louisville. Doesn't mean it can get there. Usually looking for values above 40, by the way, for decent wind shear potential. So it's there. Severe wind gust. Yeah, I can see that. It's not as bad as what's happening here, but it's there still, even locally. So that's why we can't rule that out. This is you see this a lot for you weather geeks like myself, the MCS maintenance. This basically tells, it's a parameter that you can use to determine if an MCS develops, what area has the best chance to feed on the MCS and maintain it off to the south and east. And it's saying that it would arc itself more southeast. And that's actually where the slight risk is for this afternoon, is located south and west of Louisville, right where the MCS maintenance is. Although I will say that MCSs really love dew points, and we look at that and forecast dew points well into the 60s this afternoon, located across southern Indiana all the way down through a good chunk of central Kentucky. So where this turns is hard to say. It may the warm front may actually develop, the portions of it will, into a heavy rain event, and then we may get this part here to get more of the high wind threat. Either way, we're going to be impacted by this as it moves in this afternoon. That's the point of it all. All right, looking down the road, let me skip this map. I had another map here. Sorry about that. Okay, here we go. I had a lot of graphics. Sorry about that. Okay, here is the RPM for this afternoon, how it's playing out. It already is further to the south, initialized too far south. So I think it's just too far south in general, but it does show up moving in toward 6, 7, 8 o'clock. Again, more of a high wind threat, potentially E-town, south and west, and then it's out of here. The high-res triple R, the HER model, a lot of you know that. It's initializing okay. It's still, we don't have storms yet in Brandenburg and west of Litchfield, and it's showing them there. So that's why it's not initialized great, but it does forecast at least that warm front part of the MCS to stretch its legs out along I-64 with a heavy rain and flash flooding threat around Ford this afternoon, and then we'll get more of the southern end, or the cold front portion of that could blow out into some gusty winds in our southern counties. So the HER model seems to have a better idea, not perfect, but a better idea than what the RPM does. Having said that, here's the RPM forecast. Rain totals, again, it's saying about an inch, inch and a half in some cases, but we all know how this plays out. When you get the training of storms over and over again, you can see these numbers go way higher than what the models show. All right, so we'll watch this afternoon. We could see a watch issued for West Kentucky and Southwest Indiana. May include some of our counties. Could get a few warnings, but I'm really concerned about the flooding threat, by the way, later today for more flash flood warnings. So I want to urge some caution on that. We'll see a break when this moves out later. Wednesday morning, maybe a brief shower. The models pick up on that into about midday. Then the afternoon, we can really heat things up. Again, low to mid-80s, not out of the question. Thursday morning, another chance for a shower moving through, especially north of I-64. Thursday afternoon, mainly dry. We're capped once again in the atmosphere, but it won't last long because after midnight, the actual line will move through. This is the NAM's interpretation of the line. We're going to hash that out in more detail tomorrow as far as the severe parameters. It's too early to do that, and we got enough to track here for this afternoon. All right, so again, this is not going to be a major event here this afternoon. If I had to order in the list of concerns we have, flash flooding is concern number 1. Number 2 would be the strong wind gust, and actually number 2 would probably be the lightning. Number 3 would be the strong wind gust, and number 4 would be any brief tornado potential out of this. So the tornado potential is at the very bottom of the list. The flooding threat and the lightning is at the top. So that's how it's looking right now for this afternoon. All right, guys, stay tuned. We'll have more updates and, of course, a full report beginning today at 5.